Hey everyone, and welcome to another one of our videos. Today I have a Mercedes video for you, and that is installing this bovee Tune2Air Bluetooth iPod adapter into my W221 S class. So as of right now, I've basically been using a Bluetooth to auxiliary adapter and running my phone via Bluetooth through the car's auxiliary port. And the reason I'm doing that as opposed to connecting directly to the stereo is the fact that the W221s don't have that capability. So they have the Bluetooth phone capability, which works great, but they don't let you connect to the stereo and stream audio. It's just not something that was available at the time. What this will allow you to do is plug this device into the multimedia interface of the car, which actually looks kind of like that right there, and will let you control the phone like a physical iPod is plugged in or a physical iPhone is plugged in, but will allow that to happen over Bluetooth. So that's the general gist of this. It should be compatible with a bunch of other vehicles as well, Volkswagens, Audis. If you look at the Amazon link in the description, you'll be able to see all of the different vehicles it's kind of compatible with, but a bunch of them are also Mercedes as well. So in theory, this should be pretty plug and play. Other than connecting the phone to the adapter, there may be some nuances there, but I'm going to go ahead and show you really quickly my current setup, just in case you're interested, and then we'll move on to plugging this guy in and seeing how it functions. So really quick before we hop into the car and show you what's going on as far as install goes, I just wanted to show you really quick what this thing is. It's basically a little box connected to a little cable that has a little multimedia interface plug on the end. So this is the one that you'll push down the little tab up there to release. The interface for the 221 S class is in the glove box, like a lot of Mercedes as well. There's also some vehicles that have it in the center console. So take a look around. As long as you have a compatible vehicle, you should have that plug somewhere. And then it also comes with a little instruction manual, which basically just goes over pairing instructions. Not a whole lot more in here. Blank back. So should be pretty straightforward to install. We're going to go ahead and see how it goes. Alrighty, so I'm here in my car now, and we're going to go ahead and just open up the glove box, and you can see my current setup in here right now. Essentially, I have the multimedia interface connector up there, and the one that I have connected right now is one that's a combination 30-pin iPod adapter, super old stuff, and an auxiliary input. And then connected to that auxiliary input and then plugged into the USB port just for power is a little Bluetooth adapter from a company I believe called Bluestream that allows my iPhone to connect to that, and it allows the adaptation of Bluetooth to auxiliary. So what I want to do is keep the same kind of general functionality of Bluetooth audio, but have the ability to control songs, skip songs, etc. through the car stereo, so I can do that hands-free. So that's kind of the main motivation for changing from the setup that I have right now. Otherwise, this works fine. Audio quality is great. Don't have any complaints other than the lack of control. So if all else fails, this is what I'm going to revert back to. But I'm going to go ahead and unplug this guy right here so it's not getting power anymore. And the connector right there. And then to install this new Bluetooth adapter, all we have to do is plug it into the multimedia interface port right there. And at this point, I don't know if there's any lights that come on this thing, but it should be active. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the car, not start the engine, so go ahead and do that. So that's key position 1 and key position 2 right there. I still don't see any lights. There we go. Started flashing some lights, and you'll hear my fans kick on. I apologize for that. It's 104 degrees in my garage right now, so I'm going to just go ahead and deal with those and help let them help ventilate me some. I'm going to go ahead and get my phone connected to this off camera. It should be pretty straightforward after reading through the instructions. It's basically find it in your Bluetooth devices list and enter 0000 as the passcode, and everything should connect and work at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and see where we get and see what functionality we have. Alright, so I have this initially set up and it's working mostly. One of the things that I don't like right away, two things actually. One of them is that it doesn't show the track information from Amazon Music on the screen at all. If you change tracks, it just shows Amazon Music. I thought it would. It does on some of my other vehicles, but it doesn't on here, which is interesting, kind of odd. The other thing that I don't like right away is the fact that whenever I turn the command knob or bump it to the left or right, I can turn it to skip to the next track, which works right there. But whenever I turn it backwards to skip to a previous track, it shows it doing so on the screen, but it actually skips to the next one on my phone. Very strange behavior for it to do something like that. And it doesn't do that in the actual iPhone music app, but it also doesn't exhibit consistent behavior in there either. In my quick testing in there, I don't store a lot of music on my phone. Most of it I just stream using Amazon Music or things like that. Whenever I use the built-in music app and switch around songs, it does switch songs, and it doesn't switch always forward, but it doesn't always switch backwards either. It kind of will sometimes switch randomly. So again, very strange. I don't know if that's a command limitation here on the Mercedes side, or if that's a limitation of the adapter. So I'm going to go ahead and try it out for a few days, a few weeks, whatever the case may be. It kind of takes some time and get used to it and see if I can work through some of these things. And then I'll circle back and see where we're at. And we're also going to try comparing to a wired lightning adapter with my iPhone actually plugged in to see if some of the behaviors are the same with that, or if they're different depending on whether I'm using the Bluetooth or the wired adapter, so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and do some trial and error, compare and contrast, and we'll circle back and I'll give you some final thoughts on whether or not I'd recommend using this thing in your Mercedes. Alrighty, so it's been a few weeks and I've been kind of running the Tune2Air off and on, kind of trying to figure out how it works, what the best setup is, and I figured out what works for me, and the overall outcome for this is positive for me. I'm going to end up using this in my car, so I'm going to go ahead and stick with this. So what I found out is that Amazon Music doesn't work properly. I've done a little bit of research online, found that other people have had similar issues with the Tune2Air interfacing with Amazon Music and also with things like Spotify and whatnot. So if you're buying this specifically to use it for that purpose, I'd probably steer clear of it, at least unless at some point in the future we find out that there's a firmware update or an iPhone iOS update, something along those lines that rectifies those issues. What I have found is that it functions totally fine with the built-in music app as long as you're not streaming off of your library that's like a cloud library, kind of how some of my songs are set up. What I ended up doing was actually loading my phone full of music that I had just in my iTunes or Apple Music library physically on my computer, and now it's physically on my phone. That streams just fine. So you can see I have a song up on the screen, turn the knob to the right, skips to the next song, turn, skips again. All the track information displays properly. It takes a second. That's pretty normal for any of these systems. You skip a couple back, and it skips back like it should. The only way I've been able to figure out how to get that to work consistently is by playing playlists. So this is just basically a playlist of a bunch of random music in my library. It works just fine. So that is the kind of ideal setup for this. I don't have Apple Music, so I can't test whether or not Apple Music functions with this at all. And I don't know anybody who is a good friend of mine who has it that I can have tested. So unfortunately, I can't speak to that. I would say you probably have a 50-50 shot of that working, depending on how things are set up in terms of the iOS backend and how the Tune2Air works. One thing that I found out too is that you can't pause music. Basically, the way that the Tune2Air works, it very aggressively grabs the music stream from your iPhone and forces your iPhone to play. So you can pause, and it'll pause for a couple seconds, and it'll play automatically because the Tune2Air is communicating to the iPhone to continue playing. So the only way to pause music is to hit your mute button on your steering wheel or to turn your volume down. And you're not really pausing it, you're just muting it at that point. So something to keep in mind there. The Mercedes, as far as I know, for the iPhone interface and any other iPod, whatever interfaces, there is no pause button built into the command system. There's no pause button built in anywhere down here in the music controls or anywhere in the dash, at least that I know of and that I've ever been able to find. So that doesn't totally shock me that that's not built in, and that the Tune2Air is kind of tuned that way, but just something to keep in mind. But overall, I've been using this as it is with the playlist set up, with the music physically on my phone in this car for a few weeks now. Everything's worked flawlessly. I've had no issues. As soon as you open the door and as soon as the dash powers on, the Tune2Air also powers on. It connects really quick. So by the time you have your car started, it's probably connected to your phone and pretty much ready to start streaming music. So that's good that it's proactive in that respect, assuming that that's what you want and you don't want music blasting. If you didn't want music blasting as soon as you start up your car, you might want to make sure that you're kind of prepped for that by muting it before you get out or something like that. But otherwise, again, for my use case, it's been working fine. So I'm going to keep it. It's a nice, simple solution. It's very streamlined. There's no wires, no wire mess in the glove box, nothing like that. Overall, it works really well, just with its limitations. I wish Amazon Music would work. I wish some of the other streaming services would work, but unfortunately that's not in the cards right now. But again, if you're buying this, knowing that that's a limitation and still wanting it, that's, it's a good unit for what it does. So with that, I want to thank you all for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. I know there's a few nuances of this thing, so if you have any questions about a specific use case I haven't tested, I'm happy to give it a whirl at some point. But again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.